Welcome back to the banks of the Danube and to Slovakia for this second half of Europe now. We saw there in the first half of the show that Slovakia has more castles than anywhere else. Here's another surprising figure for you. It's also the country that produces more cars per capita than anywhere else. 1 million made last year alone. We'll be looking at the roaring automobile industry in this half. We'll also be meeting ZUZANA, a young sociologist, who will be putting her questions to MEP of the opposition party, Christian Democrats. Indeed, first let's look at the current political situation in Slovakia and the issues of concern to people here.
Running for a third term as Prime Minister, the ever-popular Social Democrat Robert Fico has a healthy lead in the polls. He's been playing on citizens' fears over the migrant crisis.
Every migrant who illegally crosses the border of the Slovak Republic will be arrested.
The opposition has increased its outreach and called out the Prime Minister over his battle with Brussels about sharing the refugee burden.
We are happy to be in common Europe, and it means seeking solutions together, not in antagonistic behavior, in blaming the others. What we need is real social democracy. And for us, Christian Democrats, Europe is our family.
But disjointed, the opposition lacks a strong alternative program.
There is not so much difference on the issue of migration, not so much difference on some kind of a socio-economical issues. The only thing that they are trying to underline, trying to stress, is the issue of corruption, arguing that the party of the government led by Smer actually increased corruption in Slovakia, and we need to change that.
It's been a particularly fiery campaign and full of challenges for Europe, all leading up to the March 5th election.
Migration, security, the economy, all issues of concern for voters then here in Slovakia. To get a better feeling, we're now going to meet with ZUZANA, a sociologist. Hi ZUZANA, lovely to meet you. Hey, tell me, as a sociologist, what do you think is really the main concern or sentiment here in Slovakia? What would people like to see change?
Even though our Prime Minister is now trying to make a big emotion out of the refugee crisis, I think much bigger problem and concern is contemporary protests of nurses and professors who are in the streets and doing strikes.
Okay, so it comes down somewhat to those bread and butter issues we see repeated worldwide. Nurses and indeed teachers, we've seen massive protests in recent weeks. Nurses literally walking out of hospitals because they're demanding better pay, if I understand correctly. It's about money.
Yeah, it is about money and also the dignity of this profession, which is very important in society, but it looks like our government is not regarding it as so important.
Now, I know that one thing you have taken an interest in is these citizen initiatives, if you like, to take matters into their own hands. They do it in the economy and also taking back some of abandoned buildings around the country.
Yes, I really hope this can continue, that old buildings get new faces and the initiatives will take care of this precious heritage that we have.
Well, we definitely would like to understand more about that. I believe we're going to visit one example now, a century-old market in the heart of Bratislava. Let's take a look. Built in 1910, this was the capital's first covered market. It abandoned its original function in the 60s, but thanks to local will, has now been revived.
Now there's this new movement that brings diverse producers to this one spot. People come every Saturday to share this space and hang out and make this as an opportunity to meet.
Since 2013, a civic association has managed the hall. Food is no longer its only offering. It now also acts as a concert venue and culture centre. Today, a book fair has taken over its upper floor.
Isn't it great how this place has been renovated and how much life has come back into it now?
I'm 75, so I remember when this place was closed under the communist regime. They turned it into a TV studio and made some decent films.
A positive development in a city that ZUZANA doesn't entirely adore. Born at the other side of Slovakia, she feels all the country's resources are concentrated in the capital.
This market is very expensive, but that's the problem with Bratislava also. There's a certain group of people who are better well off, but the rest of people who are not earning money do not have access to such places.
It's rare that ZUZANA treats herself to anything here. Despite graduating with a second degree last year, she has yet to find a job that would pay the average Slovak salary of €700. Indeed, it was a very interesting market, ZUZANA. Thanks for that. We're going to turn to something else now. Slovakia is the leading producer of automobiles in the world. 1 million new cars rolled off factory floors last year alone. And yet there are some people that still hanker after the old models like BRANO. Morning, BRANO. How are you?
Good morning. How are you? Bonjour.
Lovely to meet you. This is ZUZANA. Tell me now, we're speaking of all these new cars, but yet you give tours of Bratislava in this very old Skoda. Why?
On our tours, we focus on socialist history of the city, and this car is a typical 1970s Skoda car produced in Czechoslovakia during the so-called normalization, and that's why we keep the authenticity of this era in this car.
There's still a desire then, a kind of a nostalgia, if you like, for Czechoslovakia?
Yes, for me, yes. I still feel that our culture is interconnected, and the separation only causes problems for me with double taxation and health insurance. So I would prefer to have one country together.
Oh yeah, Czechoslovakia back. What do you reckon, BRANO? Would you like it together again, or?
I'm happy now to be in Slovakia because now we have nobody to blame for our mistakes. So I think it's okay when we are like good brothers, you know.
Okay, well listen, I believe you're going to be able to take us to our next landmark destination that ZUZANA has picked out for us to see. Shall we hop in?
Shit. So on the left you can see the first so-called prefab house, prefabrication concrete block of flat, which served as a model for all the other construction in Czechoslovakia. Today around 40% of population live in this type of apartment block.
Well, while we check out a few sites, our reporter Johan Bodan has been checking out one of Slovakia's biggest manufacturing sectors. It's the automobile industry. 43% of industrial production in Slovakia is based around it. Peugeot Citroen, Volkswagen and Kia have all set up shop here. Here's why.
With his diploma in hand, Marek settled on the automotive industry as his career choice. It's a growing sector in Slovakia, one that attracts many graduates. Marek has worked at this Kia plant for the past 10 years. It's in Žilina, right in the center of the country.
Lots of things have changed. Our initial production was just 2 cars a day. Now we produce 1,400 cars a day. That's enough to show how different things are. Early on, I was an operator on the production line. Today I'm a team leader.
3,800 people work on the production line, and like all specialized workers employed by foreign car makers, their pay is twice that of the average Slovak, about €1,300 before taxes, but it still remains lower than salaries in Western Europe. Foreign manufacturers employ around 18,000 people, but another 200,000 work indirectly in jobs generated by subcontractors. They are worse off.
On this very last production line, you can see already produced cars.
Half of the brand's cars sold in Europe come off this production line. It produced 330,000 cars last year. The Korean manufacturer has invested €1.7 billion in Slovakia.
The biggest reason was geographical position of our country, because then it's very easy to approach Western European as well as Eastern European markets. Then another big advantage was the fact that at the time there was a 19% flat corporate tax in Slovakia, which made a much more bigger advantage compared to other surrounding countries. And last but not least, there was a highly qualified labor force here in Žilina region, especially because of tradition and heritage of heavy industry.
Slovakia produces the most cars per person in the world. The first to set up shop, Volkswagen in 1991, followed by PSA and Kia in 2004. The three brands work closely, even hiring a common spokesman who's responsible for extolling the virtues of the country's automotive industry.
The auto industry accounts for about 44% of Slovakia's industrial GDP, and it'll soon be close to 50%, so Slovakia is an automotive powerhouse.
In 2009, the economic crisis forced factories to temporarily slow down their production. Some have certainly faltered. Since then, awareness has emerged about the economy's excessive dependence on this sector, but there's still confidence for the years ahead.
The day will come when the technology will start to become obsolete, and that will be when manufacturers take the option of moving abroad. This risk exists, but it will not be news until 10 or 20 years from now, because the manufacturers are still using the latest technologies.
Optimism for the future has grown with the announcement of the arrival of Jaguar Land Rover. The company will invest 1.5 billion euros in Slovakia. The first cars are scheduled to roll off the production line in 2018. 20,000 resumes have already been sent.
So, Zuzana, we saw a little earlier in the show with the old market. You really take somewhat of an interest in abandoned buildings being brought back to life. You've brought us to visit another one here in Bratislava. I'll let you pronounce the name.
Svernoka.
Svernoka. Well, it's a former thread factory. It's where you've asked the MEP for the opposition Christian Democrat Party to meet you. What do you think you might ask him?
I will ask about contradictions in his program concerning society and equality, and then about automobile industry in Slovakia because it's so dominant.
To see if that's a good plan or not. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing the answers. All the best. See you after it.
See you. Hello, my name is Zuzana.
My name is Miroslav Mikolášik, and I've been here already for a modern art exposition.
This is a co-working space where a lot of individuals and enterprises have their space. And we're going to artist studio. There are photographers, regisseurs.
It sounds very interesting. Let's go. Okay.
How do you feel about being recognized as an enemy from the side of Slovak government if you're working in Brussels? There have been something mentioned by our Prime Minister that those in Brussels that do not concern the needs of Slovak nation. Yeah. What do you perceive?
Look, this is very common in every member state. So the Slovak Prime Minister is using the same trick. When are not capable enough, they hide their incapability behind this, this cliché. Evil Brussels, and we are good in Slovakia. So, and Prime Minister in this country is doing one thing. 80% of money spent for highways, for modernization of internet, for railways and whatever is coming from Brussels. 80%. And he never says this.
How do you perceive this education level in Slovakia? And from a European perspective, it looks like education is a very underfinanced sector.
Absolutely, absolutely. You are very right. And not only education, but also healthcare. These are two sectors which are underfinanced in Slovakia. This is maybe by tradition and not enough appreciation for these professions. So I am really upset how this current government is dealing with the teachers. They really have a pay which is a little bit above the minimal wage in Slovakia.
What do you think about the recent investments of the automobile sector in the Slovak economy?
Yes, this is something which helps Slovak economy currently. But in the future, there will be certainly a transformation in this sector. And so Slovakia has to think now also to diversify the attraction of foreign investors also in other sectors, like in science, research, technology. I am a member in the European Parliament also of this Committee for Regional Development. Currently, this is 15 billion for Slovakia. The problem is that Slovak scientists are not using this money. So I would say this is the responsibility of the government to use Europe to help Slovakia for the future.
Why aren't opposition parties able to win the elections?
Because the center-left parties, socialist parties, Green Party, Social Democratic Party, have merged into one big party run with Mr. Fico. Mr. Fico is an intelligent man after all, and what he did not destroy all reforms that we did 8 years before. And opposition parties, you are right, are divided. Whom are you going to vote?
I am a liberal person, and I don't have a party that would represent me in these elections. That's
so
why
you will not vote at all?
I will have to consider the lesser evil, as we call it, but it's very difficult for me to vote every time. Thank you for your time, and thank you for answering my question. It was very interesting to discuss
with pleasure. I will come again if you invite me.
So, Zuzana, how did that go?
Yes, it was very interesting. I really appreciate that he was open to answer my questions.
We're almost out of time in the show, but briefly tell us where we are now, this Freedom Square.
It's a very beautiful square with a little bit of socialist architecture, but it's being abandoned, which is a pity, and I think we should do something about it.
Zuzana, perhaps it's the next abandoned space that citizens will take under their wing and breathe new life into it. It's certainly from here, Freedom Square in Bratislava, that we bring this edition of Europe Now to a close. Take care and see you again next time.